We should be live, making sure the streams are running and everything like they're supposed to be. All right, cool. I'm hoping that chat is connected as well. Yeah, new setup so that hopefully I can monitor chat on YouTube now. So what's up? It's Chuckleberry. If you're liking the, what we're going to do today actually is we're going to be taking a look at QAnon, the cult that has sprung up around Donald Trump. Now, there's a wide spectrum of QAnon supporters. There are some who behave very much like they're in a cult and some who don't so much. And there's also a wide variety of beliefs among QAnon supporters. And, you know, some QAnon supporters just think that there's a general conspiracy against Donald Trump and that he's, was really elected the president and all that. Some QAnon supporters believe that Donald Trump was a time traveler from the future. So there's quite a variety of beliefs and and that sort of thing among QAnon supporters. But earlier today, there was an article written by Jason Lemon in Newsweek. Evangelical theologian Russell Moore says QAnon has all the characteristics of a cult. So we're going to take a look at that. This actually just came out today. And then in case you don't believe me, we're going to watch a few examples of culty behavior from QAnon supporters and Trump supporters and that sort of thing. So let's just get right into that here. Evangelical Christian theologian Russell Moore warned that the QAnon conspiracy theory has all the characteristics of a cult, as polling has shown that evangelical Christians are particularly likely to believe the conspiracy's baseless claims. It doesn't surprise me at all. When you spend a lot of time in a cult or just a cult-like environment, and many evangelical Christian churches are cult-like environments, it makes you kind of gullible, and it makes you sort of naive, and it's very easy for you to accept conspiracy theories, particularly if the victim of the conspiracy is either part of your group or maybe they're like maybe they're adjacent to your group, or you see a lot of similarities between yourself and the victim. Adherents to QAnon believe that the U.S. and its institutions are largely controlled by a satanic cult of Democratic politicians and Hollywood elites that traffic children for sex and ritual sacrifices. They also believe that former President Donald Trump was somehow combating the Satan-worshiping group during his tenure in the White House. Recently, polling has shown that evangelical Christians, and particularly white evangelicals, are more susceptible to believing in the conspiracy theory. Well, let's see here what someone just said to me. I don't know if this is working. There might be a problem with the YouTube stream. Give me 1 second here. Oh, nope, this is something else. Okay. Yeah, so those are some pretty crazy beliefs, right? So they believe that there's a satanic cult that controls Hollywood and Washington, and they have a massive child sex trafficking ring that they primarily use for ritual sacrifices. So that, yeah, some pretty wild shit. Now, not everybody who is a QAnon supporter believes all of that, I wouldn't say. Like I said, there's different shades within the group. But since that's such an extreme belief, you probably are wondering to yourself how many people actually believe this. Well, I think you're going to be surprised. Moore, who serves as public theologian and director of the Public Theology Project at Christianity Today, told Axios that QAnon is taking on all the characteristics of a cult, from authoritarian gurus to predictions that don't come true. And we'll definitely take a look at some of those gurus in a little bit. QAnon followers have put forward multiple predictions about Trump returning to power, believing that he would successfully overturn President Joe Biden's election victory. When these dates have not panned out, the believers tend to simply move the goalpost and pick new dates. And that is no joke. In fact, let's take a look now. Oh, I haven't been sharing the screen, have I? That's what you were trying to tell me. I appreciate that. Well, we will fix that, but that's okay because I was gonna shift to a new tab anyway. So yeah, they have a lot of failed predictions, and so we are going to take a look at a list that Wikipedia has of those failed predictions. You guys probably don't know what the storm is. We should talk about that here. Well, I don't think that we're going to find a nice, neat little package to explain all of what the storm is. But the storm is an event that they believe will happen where the military will take control, possibly institute martial law, and reinstate Trump as the president. There's different versions of that, but most versions contain some version of what I just said. QAnon's first prediction was that Hillary Clinton was about to be arrested and would attempt to flee the country. That didn't happen, obviously. And then they just kind of keep that shit up. So they said the storm would take place November 3rd. So on November 3rd, the military would rise up and do something. Didn't happen. So then they said the storm would take place on January 20th, 2021. We all know what happened there, but I don't think that was what they were looking for. A major event involving the Department of Defense would take place on February 1st, 2018. Nothing happened. People targeted by the president would commit suicide en masse. Yeah, I mean, just all kinds of weird shit. Oh, man. Let's see if we can find any particularly interesting ones. Yeah, they think that on this shit. So they predicted that Pope Francis would be arrested for being part of like the child sex trafficking and the sacrifices and that sort of thing. In some cases, they believe the sacrifices are because they're sacrificing to God that they worship or to demons that they're in league with. Or like interdimensional entities that are like demons, or some of them believe that the children are being used for adrenochrome, that they like, there's different versions of that too, but the most common one is they have to cause extreme distress to the child and then kill them in a state of distress, and they're able to collect some drug from them that apparently the elites like or make them live longer. There's lots of different versions of it. Just kind of want to establish there that they have some extreme beliefs. The theologian explained to Axios that he is talking literally every day to pastors of virtually every denomination who are exhausted by these theories blowing through their churches and communities. Moore said that several pastors told me that they once had to talk to parents dismayed about the unchristian beliefs of their grown children, but now the situation is reversed. So yeah, so what he's talking about here is that evangelical churches all across the nation are seeing a whole bunch of people that are suddenly believing these really strange QAnon beliefs. And so, it happens all the time, at least in the eyes of the average churchgoer, that young people will get some strange beliefs and they'll go to their pastor, say, hey, my daughter is believing these strange things or into some unusual practice, some sort of practice is unusual to them, and goes to the pastor to try to figure out how to dissuade them or deal with that. And now he's saying he's seeing the reverse of that. The older folks primarily are the ones that are getting sucked in by the QAnon conspiracy, and that it's the youngsters who are saying, hey, I think my parents have unbiblical beliefs. Very unusual how that's taking place. And I think a lot of it is because these conspiracies are primarily promulgated on the internet, and a lot of internet illiteracy plays into it. That's not to say that every QAnon supporter is technologically illiterate or is not skilled at getting accurate news from the internet, especially because the way that it started was on 4chan. People who use 4chan are typically like know what's going on with computers and the internet and shit like that. But it's very interesting to see how this is all taking place. So polling released last week by the Public Religion Research Institute found that 15% of Americans believe that the government, media, and financial worlds in the U.S. are controlled by a group of Satan-worshiping pedophiles who run a global child sex trafficking operation. I'm so glad that they put this into quotation marks, just so we knew for sure what these people were asked. So when these people were asked, do you believe that the government, media, and financial worlds in the U.S. are controlled by a group of Satan-worshiping pedophiles who run a global child sex trafficking operation? When they asked people this, 15% of them said yes. Now, I don't think that that means 15% of people in the United States believe in the QAnon conspiracies or anything like that. I don't believe that for a second. A lot of these polls are phone polls. And phone polls are heavily biased towards older people because older people are generally the ones that are taking those calls and responding to those surveys. So I definitely think that that number is lower. It's probably not 15%, but whatever that number is, it's not zero, and it's probably a lot bigger than you thought it was. It's bigger than I thought it was. That's a lot of people that believe a really wild theory about how the world works and the forces behind our government and that sort of thing. Belief was even higher among white evangelicals and Hispanic Protestants. Within both demographics, about a quarter said they agreed with QAnon beliefs. Conservative evangelical Christians, and particularly white evangelicals, have long been closely aligned with the Republican Party. This was especially true with Trump, as evangelicals are politically animated by their opposition to women's reproductive rights, LGBTQ rights, and protections for the transgender community. So yeah, conservative politicians know that they have a ready built-in base of supporters within the evangelical movement who will support them pretty much no matter what, because the leaders within those evangelical movements, and I've witnessed this firsthand. I grew up in this shit, and they'll always stir up concern and fear about what might happen if the Democrat or liberal politician gets elected. They'll usually do fear mongering around Roe v. Wade. They'll say, oh, this could be it. A couple of justices could die, and then the makeup of the Supreme Court is changed, and suddenly we have no chance of overturning Roe v. Wade, which is one of their big goals. That's just one example. But yeah, they're constantly fear mongering about how dire the consequences will be if the Democrat wins the White House race, and really every other political race too they do this for. And this is always the most important election of our lifetimes, and God is always especially very interested in this race every single time, of course. In 2016 and again in 2020, exit polling showed that about 8 to 10 white evangelicals cast their ballot for Trump. About 8 in 10 white evangelicals cast their ballot for Trump. I would be surprised if it was that low, to be honest with you. I feel like 9 is like 90% of white evangelicals probably voted for Trump. Maybe they're saying voted for Trump as in actually went to the poll and voted, as opposed to the percentage of the people that went to the poll and then voted. That would make sense because voter turnout's always an issue. But then I don't know, because I don't think that 8 in 10 white evangelicals voted. Then maybe they did. Somebody had to vote for Trump. Polls have suggested that the religious community is also more likely than others to believe Trump's false claims about the 2020 election, false claims that the 2020 election was stolen by Biden and the Democrats. And like I said, it makes you naive, and it makes you very given to these sorts of conspiracy theories. And then when the victim is a conservative or somebody that you perceived as aligned with your religious values, it makes it even easier to believe these conspiracy theories. This isn't just a problem for faith communities, of course. Kristen Dumez, a Calvin University professor of history, gender, faith, and politics, told Axios, "It is deeply troubling in terms of the health of our democracy." And I'm concerned about that too, because there's so many people that believe this, and the people who believe this vote. I think a lot of people, when they look at a presidential election or another big election like a governor's election or like an election for the Senate, they think of it in terms as persuading the population to be on your side. That's really not how it is. You've got to persuade voters to be on your side. And by and large, voters are not young people, they're older folks. And that's a big part of why the QAnon movement has had a big effect on our elections. They adopted candidates all over the country, and were just a big grassroots groundswell of support for these candidates. So yeah, they're going to continue to have a big effect on politics because there's a lot of them. So that was the article. And like I said, I want to take a look at some particularly culty behavior on the part of Trump supporters, particularly of the religious persuasion, just the cultiness of it all. So there's a lot of videos out there. I kind of put this together quickly. So there's definitely some better examples of some of the things that I'm going to show you, but these are still pretty good examples. And I'm definitely going to be doing more coverage of the QAnon cult. And I intend to be putting together series of clips and that sort of thing. So some folks are talking on YouTube here. Why do so many people believe it? By the way, hello, Genesis. Thank you for joining me today. QAnon is a message board on 4chan. Why would anyone take that seriously? That's not exactly true, but I get what you're saying. But yeah, a lot of folks have taken it seriously. Maybe after I'm done, I should do some research into this. I might end up red pilling myself. I'm not particularly afraid of being red pilled, but I do plan to continue researching this when I'm done streaming. So, but yeah, let's take a look at some examples of cult behavior by QAnon Trump cultists. So here's a great example, and there's some crossover with another weird political cult too, because this guy is also a sovereign citizen, which led to this a confrontation with law enforcement. I don't know exactly what happened, but he's not taking their commands. He's not rolling down the windows and that sort of thing. Sovereign citizen types get themselves into this situation all the time. And they often will pray to God to deliver them from the police as they're like breaking their windows and shit. Like there's tons of videos of this happening on the internet, but there's one twist with this one. Check this one out.
They tag in Donald Trump. Donald Trump, if you can hear us, please, Donald Trump. Please save me. Please save me, Donald Trump. Please. I'm asking you. Please save me.
Yeah, it keeps going.
Please save me. Please get these people away from me.
So, yeah, he's just praying to Donald Trump.
In God's name, please stop these people.
And I would have thought it was real if it wasn't for the real cop. Or sorry, I would have thought it was fake if it wasn't for the real cops with guns and breaking this guy's window and shit, dragging him out. I like if people tagging Donald Trump in the live stream chat.
Yes, sir.
The comments are great. That will buff out.
I'm not doing anything, sir. I'm a believer in the Lord. I'm the Lord's child. I promise you. Give me a...
Yeah, so how about that shit? So the guy just prayed to Donald Trump to save him from the police. Here's another good one. So this is, what is this woman's name? Pastor Paula White. Paula White's a very popular, charismatic, evangelical, like moderately charismatic preacher and televangelist, and she was part of Donald Trump. She was Donald Trump's faith advisor, something like that. I don't think she was officially a member of his cabinet, but she apparently advised him on spiritual matters. Here's a very strange prayer that she offered for Donald Trump to have victory in the election. Let's make sure that's sharing here. Okay, good.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of
The
victory.
repetition,
I hear a sound
saying
of
the
shouting
same
and
shit
singing. I
over
hear
and
a
over
sound
and
of
over
victory.
again.
I hear a sound of an
It's a
abundance
part of
of rain. I
brainwashing.
hear a sound
So if you're
of
wondering
victory.
why it
I
is,
hear
how
a
these people
sound of
could
an abundance of rain.
possibly
I
still
hear a
believe
sound of
that
victory.
Donald Trump
The
is still
Lord
the
says
president,
it is done.
and
The Lord says it is
the Joe
done.
Biden
The Lord
administration
says
is all
it
just
is
an
done.
elaborate
For I
theater
hear
to
victory,
ensnare
victory,
the
victory,
Satan
victory
worshiping
in the
pedophiles
corners
in
of heaven.
Hollywood.
In the corners
If you're
of
wondering
heaven.
why people can
Victory,
still
victory,
believe it,
victory,
this
victory,
is why,
victory,
because they're
victory,
going to
victory.
church every
For angels
Sunday
are being
and they're
released
getting
right now. Angels
brainwashed
are
into
being
believing it.
dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka deda baka
When you
santa
have
ata
constant
anko
repetition
osa
like this,
kata rite
the
eke
words
banda
of the
ata
preacher
rite
replaces your own
iyashata.
thoughts,
For
and
angels have
you
even
feel like
dispatched from Africa right
you
now.
just see what
Africa
they're
right now.
saying everywhere in
Africa
the
right
world
now.
all
From
around you.
Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here. In the name of Jesus. From South America. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. From Africa. From South America. Angelic forces. Angelic reinforcement. Angelic reinforcement.
Yeah, and she's in like an ecstatic state. I mean, this woman, she may be acting, but there's plenty of people that do what she's doing right now, and they're having genuine mystical religious experiences. You know, they're having encounters with God, they feel.
I hear the sound of victory.
And it happens all the time. And that was what's going on with the members of the audience there. I'm sure many of them were having these religious experiences. And so when you combine that with just the repetition, I mean, it's, yeah, man, some very powerful, effective brainwashing. There's also a lot of violence that ends up occurring at Trump rallies. This is just one example, and it's definitely not the best example.
Clashed with protesters.
But it was the best that I could find on quick notice. Just aggressively approaching the other side. That's not acceptable.
Beach, a march involved about 2,000 Trump supporters. They came face to face with several dozen demonstrators, and this is what happened.
And it's not as if the other side isn't committing political violence and that sort of thing. I just want to point out how quickly and eagerly these people turn towards aggression.
And at least one person needed medical attention. There was also violence at a pro-Trump rally in Salem, Oregon. Police say an anarchist group interrupted the demonstration over and over again. At least one person was arrested there.
Well, I didn't share that video either. Man, we're winning big today, but that's okay because I saved the best for last. I haven't seen most of this video, but I found a prophecy that our friend Kat Kerr delivered regarding Donald Trump, and she did this on April 1st, 2021. Which is right about 1 month ago today. Today's the 31st of May, or 2 months ago rather. Today's the 31st of May. So we'll see if any of these have come true, and just kind of see what Kat Kerr has to tell us about good old Donald J. Trump.
Live video here.
In case you don't remember, this is the lady who brought out her staff and whacked a hurricane away from whatever state she was in. I think she was in Florida. Of course she was in Florida, right?
We're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Capitol Hill. This is Kat Kerr, continuing on with my Trump 2020 broadcast. And I want to welcome everybody. I hope you're celebrating because we are.
Are you guys celebrating?
I have my celebration scarf on right now. So
I know I am.
that it's going to be a
Look at that celebration scarf. Holy shit.
You know, I'm saying that. So.
We can't see the Capitol.
Oh, okay.
Just tilt it this way. A little bit more. There's the Capitol. Yay!
Now you can see the Capitol building. Okay. So
and if you don't know, Kat Kerr is a frequent guest on Elijah List. Elijah List is kind of like it's like a hub for all these QAnon, Donald Trump worshipers. that were charismatic Christians, and then they adopted these weird Donald Trump beliefs. They all hang out on Elijah List. It's like a TV show where this guy interviews them. So if you ever want to watch some nutty shit, just turn on any episode of Elijah List.
I will tell you this, that Trump does have a plan right after November 3rd or 4th, and I don't know why I'm saying
that's a while from now.
Find out. But I will tell you this, he is winning, and he will win big. Because people want a life.
So there's still, she's still saying that Donald Trump is winning April 1st of this year.
And in case you didn't know, even after Trump is in there for his second term, Pence will be president for 8 years. Woo-hoo!
Woo!
I'm excited.
Yeah, President Pence for 8 years.
Showed me a plan for 24 years in the White House.
What more could I ask for?
Pence will, whoever he picks as vice president, will be president for 8 years after that. God is changing this country to be a place where you can come to find him, have a real life, have a future.
You couldn't find God before. Now that Donald
things
Trump
are
is the
coming,
secret
but
president, you can find God, but you couldn't before.
That's what he said. I'm exposing all of the darkness. If you ever wonder why it looks like falling out of every crack and crevice, God wants it to be known.
Crawling out of every crack and crevice.
I will also tell you this from heaven.
Everyone who's
stealing and lying, harvesting ballots, burning ballots, hiding ballots, they will be exposed. Everyone in every secret hidden room, nothing is hidden from God. In case you ever wonder, of course, they don't believe there is one. They're about to find out there is.
About to find out.
It's time to celebrate.
God's gonna audit that election.
Before November 3rd ever gets
God's gonna go to Georgia and count all the ballots.
His plans, and so I want you to stay excited. I have seen 50 years into the future, and maybe these next 24 years will be setting us up for the next 100 years. So if you think God doesn't show people things, if you think He gave that up in the Old Testament,
you're wrong. That creepy ass smile.
So don't ever stop saying excited. Trump is definitely God's choice. He said he's an all-American boy who is all for America. That's what he says about him. And just because I want to, recently when I was in Colorado, God began to speak, and He said to this.
Okay, hold up, guys.
What you want?
These are God's words.
Your president,
God Himself said this. We better pay real close attention.
People. Why would you want a villain for your president when I have already sent a superhero named Trump? Woo! No, when you know God, you're not afraid to say anything. I don't.
Yeah, that's on par with any classic KJV scripture
And I can tell you right now, He knows everything that's going on, and in heaven they are celebrating because He knows the beginning from the end and the end from the beginning. He's not abandoning this whole 24-year plan.
In her world right now in heaven, God and the angels are celebrating the fact that Donald Trump is currently the president.
So make sure you're telling your family great days are ahead, and one day we'll be burning our masks. Woo-hoo! Because I am done with that thing. By the way, God said there will not be a second wave.
Oh, God says there's not going to be a second wave. So if there is a second wave, which I hope there's not, I certainly don't believe there will be. But if there is, we know that either Kat Kerr doesn't have God or God's a liar.
And so it's not a disease even. Viruses.
Oh, it's not a disease.
But how long?
I didn't know that she believed that specifically, but I'm not surprised to find that out.
Not where I live. We will not put up with this stuff anymore. This is God's time to show up and show off inside of us. And He has cleaned that platform for the manifested sons and daughters of God to speak to the land, the sea, and the air.
So tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing it. She calls this a prophetic message. So far, the only prophecy that I've heard is that something is going to happen in November. Was there anything else? I can't recall any specific prophetic predictions that she's made so far in the last 4 minutes and 46 seconds. Maybe it's all at the end. In the last minute.
Just like Him. Because He inspires, He encourages, He loves you. He has great plans for you. He's not here to steal, rob, take away what you have. He can give you a better job than you ever had before. I hope you're declaring that. He is a God of all creation, and His Son, Jesus Christ, made a way for us all to come back to Him. And they have a plan. I'm going with their plan. So kick out the left, run into the right, and to the light.
What is she talking about?
We will be living.
Run to the right and into the light. I wonder what that means.
And goodness to come. They better give up or move somewhere else because God is taking back America.
Oh, amen, Kat. Woo!
God
God's
bless you.
taking back America,
May the
guys.
host
You
of
heard it
heaven
here
be
first.
with you wherever
That's
you go.
that,
In
and
this
Donald Trump
time,
is the way he's going to do it.
celebration time. It is not
But
the
Donald
end.
Trump
Don't listen to
is
the-
really the president, even though he doesn't look like the president. And the angels and God are up there celebrating. So that's what's going on there. All right, guys. I just wanted to look at a couple of things real quick. I'll probably stop in once or twice a week and do these shorter streams whenever an article pops up discussing something interesting or something happens in the news regarding cults, that sort of thing. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. More QAnon stuff for sure. I'm going to find some of the crazier shit that I've seen online and share that with you guys eventually. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed it.